Hey guys, hope all of you are well, and in this video we are going to discuss one question or concerned with history which was asked in GS1 paper 2019. The question is, the 1857 uprising was the culmination of the recurrent big and small rebellions that had occurred in the preceding 100 years of the British rule. Elucidate. The question is very much interesting and as well as important. The question is asked in such a way that you can only attempt the question if you have an overall knowledge or overall background knowledge during this period in and around 1857. The question is a wholesome question. That means it is not centered around a particular aspect. It has encompassed various aspects and it turns out into a aggregate question. So the question asks that the 1857 uprising is not only caused by a single factor. Instead, it has several or lot of factors which germinated its root long before 1857 due to various reasons. So first we have to take notice of the keywords. Here the keywords are culmination, preceding 100 years, recurrent, big and small. In that way, the directive of the question is elucidate. That means clarification. That clarification means here you have to explain the answer with proper examples or given clarity with facts. So clear examples and clear reasons are necessary. No ambiguous aspect and no ambiguous reasons will be mentioned in the question. Right. So these are the two aspects which you have to keep notice. One is keyword and other is directive. Then if we take notice of if we try to analyze the factors which contributed to the 1857 uprising and which were prevalent preceding 100 years of British rule, then this can be mentioned or this can be analyzed in various points like religious concern, caste distinction, corruption among officials, drastic increase of land revenue, quick altercation of prevalent socio-political structure. These are some factors which aggregately contributed to the uprising of 1857. Means the word culmination. This is the peak point of culmination, and this is the meaning of the keyword of the culmination. That these are the factors which culminated to the 1857 uprising, and against each point you have to give some examples. For example, what do you mean by religious concern? How religious concern contributed to 1857 uprising? The one important aspect is the evangelist. Evangelist means the effort of the Christian missionary to spread Christianity among the traditional people, whether it is upper caste, lower caste and tribal people, or among the soldiers even, sepoys also. Right, the effort of the Christian missionary to spread Christianity is one of the religious concern which spread hatred among people. In that way, crossing sea leading to outcast. And what is the meaning of this point here? That wartime effort. In wartime effort to cross sea which confronted our Hindu concept. That means according to Hindu concept, you cannot cross the boundary of sea at that time. So the wartime effort, as we have seen in Burma war, where the soldiers have to cross the sea, that wartime effort to cross sea which confronted Hindu concept, resulting in the ostracism of many soldiers by local community or even by their co-soldiers. When soldiers had crossed the sea or crossed a particular land boundary for war purposes, they were later ostracized by their community or even by co-soldiers. Right, this spread hatred among the soldiers, and above all, the alien nature of British rule. That British rule, under the British rule, people felt a kind of strangeness. The sheer strangeness of alien nature of British rule is also a concern of here. Right. So all these factors contributed to hatred. All these religious factors contributed to hatred among the people. In that way, caste distinction, upper caste dilemma. And what is the tantrum of this upper caste dilemma here? That when the soldiers were first recruited, then the upper caste was given predominance, and with the condition that they would be privileged to live as per their religious dictum, which eventually turned out to be fatal. At the time of the recruitment of the soldiers, it was told that they could live as per their religious dictum. That means they can stay, they can eat as per their religion. But suffice it is to say that it is not possible to maintain during wartime or at every time. So when the condition was not fulfilled, then upper caste soldiers showed their disappointment. Right. Then later what did they do? The British discouraged the recruitment of the upper caste. And this type of mismanagement actually created disharmony, which is not conducive to the discipline of the armed forces. And equally, it spread hatred and angerness among the soldiers, which eventually turned out to be dangerous at the time of the 1857 uprising. In that way, another reason, corruption among officials. And here the factors which contributed is the complex legal system. The newly introduced legal system was so complex that it was beyond the limit of the common people. And as a result of this, there were some loopholes throughout which the poor can be exploited severely. Right, so the complex legal system which gave loopholes to corruption among officials was one of the very crucial factors which contributed to the disappointment and anger of the common people. Right. This new and almost unfamiliar complex legal system facilitating the rich at the cost of the poor turned out to be fatal later. In that way, looting and torture, there was enormous torture and loot of the police officials of the poor people. Right, that there is enormous torture and loot by the police official above the common people, especially the poor, was very, very revengeful towards the later. So corruption among officials mainly contributed by the complex legal system, which was far beyond the reach of the common people, especially the poor, which gave loopholes for exploitation, looting and torture of the police officials on the common people, especially the poor, led to the culmination of anger, which is seen in 1857 uprising. In that way, drastic increase of land revenue. As a result of drastic increase of land revenue, both the poor and rich section of the society were equally affected. Right, with the goal of maximization of profit, with the goal of profit-making purposes, company hurriedly increases tax with a very short duration of time, as well as they also increase the time period of revenue settlement, which actually took time, but the haphazard taxation system with the profit-making purposes, quick revenue settlement, equally affected the poor and rich because it increased the burden of taxation and as well as it disposes both the section of society of their property and land. As a result of this, it spread hatred and anger among people, which were culminated in the uprising of 1857. quick altercation of prevalent socio-political structure. Under this point, dismantling of the patronage system is very much important because there are many classes like scholars, priests, handicraftsmen and artisans which are mostly dependent on the patronage system for their source of income. Their source of income eliminated as a result of dismantling this patronage system. The new company rule brought misery to these artisans and handicraftsmen by dismantling this patronage system, which also eliminated the source of income for most of the classes of society like scholars, priests, handicraftsmen, artisans, etc. Right. So as a result of this spread hatred and disappointment among this section of society. And rapid socio-cultural legislation. British brought lots of socio-cultural legislation, and this impacted the impact of this reformist legislations on the common people were not good, because the traditional Hindu and Muslim thought that it will dismantle the very basics of their religion. It will harm the religious tenet of the society. Right. So these are also this quick altercation, these reformist mentalities of British adversely impacted the society. In that way, the new forest rules. Before the British, the tribal people were mostly dependent on the forest. They collected the forest materials, that too free of cost. But as soon as British came and they brought British forest regulations, it imposed tax on the collection of forest products. It was quite unfamiliar and quite strange to the tribal people. So these all points culminated at the time of the uprising in 1857. And one important aspect to remember here is that soldiers were common people mostly derived from the peasants. Soldiers in this time, soldiers were not a separate class of officials with separate ideological perspectives. No, they were not. They were mostly common people who were from the peasant section of the society. So if anything happens to their ancestors, or if anything happens to the common people if anything happens to the society from which they belong, it equally impacted their official life. The official and personal life were not separated. They were derived from the society. They were common people. They were mostly peasants. Right. And that's why whatever is happening in the society, it circulated among the soldiers and it equally impacted the soldiers. So these are the some points which you can explain, which culminated to the 1857. Then it is the direction of the question is elucidate. And that is why you have to give proper examples and clarifications. That what are the examples? Yes, you have given the points, the causes, but what are the examples where you can see these points? Here you can mention Sannyasi rebellion and Chor uprising led by peasants and zamindars under religious leaders and monks. Polygars in Tamil Nadu, Kulis in Gujarat, etc., Santhal and Munda rebellion. These examples I have given from my viewpoint, but you can give your own examples. But keep in mind that the direction is elucidate. So along with the explanation of the reasons or causes of the uprising which preceded before the British rule, right, you have to also justify them with the proper examples. So here giving examples is the utmost necessary. Now I am always telling in my answer, in my all the answer writing videos, that you have to make your answer balanced, and to make a balanced answer you have to give some negative points also. And here negative points means you have not to criticize the soldiers, but here you can give some 1 or 2 points which regarding the failure of the mutiny. Right. Yeah, towards the end, you can give or you can mention 1 or 2 points in a concise way which contributed to the failure of the mutiny. So this is the concise explanation of the question. I hope this explanation has helped you. So I will come again with another video. Till then, take care and bye bye.